She's never done this before. She's laughing the whole time, which kind of gives me relief because she's laughing about it. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, we could die. This is starting to get hairy. This area is known for landslides, mudslides, and avalanches. So my wife and I have been together for a really long time, since high school. She's not into the four-wheeling like I am, so I can't get her to go along very often, but there's an occasion when she will. This occasion happened to be our 15th wedding anniversary, and we had been together for 20 years. So we got married and we started dating on the same exact day, July 27th. So we had been planning a trip. She had said that she would go off-roading with me, and we thought we'd go overlanding in Colorado. If you don't know what overlanding is, it's where you take your Jeep and you go off-roading, wheeling, you cook out of it, you eat out of it, you sleep out of it, right? That's not my typical style. I usually bring a truck and a trailer, offload it, go wheeling. But this was going to be new for us, and we were going to go on this adventure to Colorado all the way from Tennessee. So I talk her into it, and we go to Colorado. It's the middle of summer, so we're thinking it's going to be great weather. But no, we're up at 12,000 feet, and we're camping, and it is cold. It's below freezing. It happened to be raining the entire week, and we were just pretty much miserable. She rarely ever goes with me on these things, so I'm trying to make it special. So we're camping, we're eating, we're doing cool stuff, but the weather is just not cooperating with us. So we're like 5 days in, and we decide that we're going to go wheeling with one of our buddies who happens to be coming down from South Dakota. And he's going to meet us in this little tiny town, and we're going to go over one of the passes there called Black Bear Pass. So we had spent the night on the other side of the mountain the night before in a little place called Opher, and we were camping, and there were mosquitoes everywhere. It's just like you couldn't get away from them. You had to get in your tent, and then you were killing them on the inside of the tent as well. So that was miserable once again. But this morning we knew things were going to turn around. Foreshadowing, it was much, much worse. We go across the Opher Pass, which is breathtaking. It's this scenic drop-off. You're on this ledge, and it's just a drop-off like 5,000 feet down below. She's closing her eyes. She doesn't like that, but we get across it, and we meet up with my buddy Colt and his wife Shanna. And this is kind of the first time we'd ever hung out with them. And we had just been kind of online friends a little bit before that. And the weather this morning was dry for the first time in 4 days or so. And so things are looking good for us. We're going up Black Bear Pass, and I look over, and my wife, she's always has the most random things. She's eating chocolate-covered strawberries on the trail as like her trail snack. Not just like pre-made chocolate-covered strawberries. She's actually dipping them in the chocolate, letting it dry, and eating them. We travel a little ways. We see this really cool, like somebody's doing it way above and beyond what we're doing. They have this like legitimate tent, like mining tent. And we get up there, we're probably at 10 or 12,000 feet, and they're out there mining on the side of these rocks, which is pretty interesting. But as we look off into the distance, we can see that a storm is starting to come in, right? So we're thinking that's nothing out of the ordinary because it's been storming on us all week. So we're going to push through and keep going. The views are just absolutely fantastic. We look down, there's like this beautiful lake, and the sky is shining right into it, and it just looks like a mirror. And a couple miles later, we get to what they call Black Bear Pass. And so Black Bear Pass is this pass that was made by miners many, many years ago. A lot of people know it, and it looks down on the town of Telluride. So the town of Telluride is probably 4,000 feet below, and you can see it from the top of this pass. So it's like a little V, and as you're coming into it, all you see is just nothing. It looks like the trail, this off-road trail, is just disappearing and falling off the face of the earth. But we get up there and you kind of have to park because there's this little stream off to the left. And so Colt says that before we can go down Black Bear Pass, we have to dunk our heads in this stream for good luck, right? So this is foreshadowing again how bad this trip's gonna be. So I get out. He's got a bald head, so he dunks his head in, and I'm like, well, that's not fair. I've got all this hair, you know. I don't want to dunk my head in there. It's freezing. But I do. I stick my face in there. As you start going down, it's basically almost straight down, 4,000 feet, but there's these little switchbacks, and they just go left and right, left and right. And so it's straight across. The trail's not really that hard, but if you were to make a mistake, completely deadly. So we're doing these switchbacks back and forth, and we had just started. We're doing our first or second switchback, and all of a sudden I hear like this tick, 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 tick. It's starting to hail. Obviously, you don't want to be doing all these switchbacks on ice, right? We're continuing along. It starts hailing more. We're continuing, and all of a sudden I get really nervous, and I think all of us are getting nervous at this point. The hail's starting to build up, and it's slick. We're starting to move faster at this point, which you probably shouldn't be moving very fast going down this mountain. But the hail turns into rain. What I didn't realize is that the rain is probably worse than the hail, because we are in this valley, in this crevice on the side of a mountain, and now it's starting to pour. As it starts pouring more and more, and we're working our way down the switchbacks, we start seeing these little mudslides coming down off the side of the hill. And I'm looking at it thinking, this isn't good, you know. And Hope, she's never done this before. She's laughing the whole time, which kind of gives me relief because she's laughing about it. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, we could die. This is starting to get hairy. This area is known for landslides, mudslides, and avalanches in the winter. We're working our way down, and all of a sudden we're going around this switchback, and all of a sudden these little rocks about this side, like the size of baseballs, start coming. And I look around, and they're going underneath the Jeep, but coming from up here, hitting the ground, popping underneath the Jeep. And I look ahead. Colt's in front of me in his Jeep, and his wife Shanna, and all of a sudden a rock the size of a basketball hits the bank, bounces right over the side of their vehicle at probably 100 miles an hour and just down the mountain. And I'm thinking, somebody could have died right there if it hit his windshield. And I get on the radio, on the walkie-talkie, and I say, go, 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 go. And we just start hauling. He has no idea why I'm telling him to go. But as that happens, this mudslide and rocks start coming down behind the Jeep. And I'm thinking that we have to get out of here before we die. We get past that point, the trees are whipping, the rain is coming down, and we get down a couple more switchbacks, and all of a sudden we start seeing people, like hiking. We start seeing abandoned cars. It was just pure pandemonium. We stop and talk to a couple people, and they're just like, no, you keep going. We're fine. And at the time, I didn't realize it, but walking, you have more availability of looking around and seeing what's coming next, right? I'm in this Jeep. It's like inside of a tank. All you can see is from here to here. And we don't know, you know, I can't see to my right because I'm on the left side. I can't see what's coming down the mountain next. So we start seeing more and more mudslides. We're starting to have to drive over some of these mudslides and small landslides going across the road. For whatever reason, we stop, and there's the waterfall. There's this waterfall on the left, and Colt's like, it doesn't matter, we got to get our picture here. This is what we came here for. So we get out, pouring down rain, we're soaking wet, get a quick picture, and we're off again. And at this point, we start coming across these huge washes, and we don't know how deep they are, but we want to get out of here before we get stuck up here. So the washes are starting to be a foot and a half deep, and there's trees coming down them across the road, and we're just like, I don't know, we're going to test it, we're going to see if we can get out of here. You know, we don't want to get washed off the side of the mountain, but at the same time, we've got to get off this mountain. That was our thought at the time. It's raining even harder now, and there's this spot where we can't go any further. There's like a few vehicles in front of us, and they're turned around and they're coming back the other direction, like fast, wanting to get the heck out of where they just came from, which is where we're going. And they're like, don't go that way, the mountain's coming down, the mountain's sliding down. So that's freaking us out, right? What had happened was a rock slide happened in front of us. And so I'm thinking, like I'm looking up the mountain. You can see that there's places where mudslides have happened before because there's just no trees. Like there's trees. All of a sudden, there's a 100-foot wide swath of just nothing. So I get behind this big giant boulder about the size of a house, and there's trees on either side of it. And I think, well, if this boulder hasn't slid down the mountain yet, maybe it's gonna hold. We sit there. At this point, the road is starting to become a river, and I'm thinking we're gonna get washed away at any moment here. Luckily, the rain starts to let off. Eventually, it settles down, and we start to see the hikers and the mountain climbers that we had seen previously. They're starting to come down the mountain and make their way past. But we can't go anywhere because they're able to walk over this rock slide. So we walk down there. The rock slide on the right side of the trail was probably 15 foot high, all the way down to about 4 foot high on the left side of the trail. And we're looking at this thinking, we can't drive over this, obviously. It's too loose, it's wet, and it's just mush. Whenever we had stopped at the stopping point where we couldn't go any further, we had called the sheriff's office down in town just to let them know what was happening, that there were people stranded up on this mountain, possibly from rock climbing and hiking and walking. We're thinking to ourselves, like, we're going to have to dig this out. So we get shovels. There's probably 4 or 5 cars of people, trying to figure out what we're going to do. So we start getting shovels, and we start shoveling the road clear. We knew we would never be able to make enough of a passage to drive over, but we were going to try to level it out just enough that you didn't roll over as we're winching over this spot, because it's probably 30 feet long of just complete washout, just completely taken over the whole trail. About the time that we start getting it leveled out, we can start seeing an excavator coming up the mountain. And then this truck comes up, and this guy gets out of the truck and is like, whoa, don't do anything else. I don't want you guys to be hurt. We've got an excavator coming up the mountain. Don't touch anything. Go back to your cars and wait. So we sat there for about 2 hours as this excavator makes its way up the mountain. These people are coming down completely soaked. There's sheriff's vehicles down below. We sit there and wait. Finally, they get the excavator up there, and it takes them about 30 minutes to dig out enough of a road where we can drive up onto this pile and over to the other side. And then there's another one beyond that, but he cleared it as he was coming up. We get across all this stuff, and then the sheriffs stop us. They've got all their lights flashing, and they're like, hey, have you seen a guy in a yellow rain jacket? And we're like, no, we haven't. Nobody had rain jackets up there. They're all just getting soaked. There's a guy missing. He was supposed to be climbing the Via Ferrata, which is this cable rock climbing course on the side of this rock face. And he was supposed to be climbing this Via Ferrata at the time that it started hailing and raining. And we're looking up, and we're like, I don't know what to tell you. I didn't see the guy. Nobody else has seen the guy. And so he's like, all right, you guys can continue. So we continued on. We're telling everybody, we're like, have you seen anybody? Have you seen this guy? Nobody's seen him. So we pass all that. We get down into the town of Telluride. It's so strange because we almost just died, right? We just went through the most harrowing experience of our life. And everybody in town's going about their business, shopping at the grocery stores, eating, drinking beer, like nothing had happened. Which to them, nothing had happened. They don't know what's going on up there. But it was just so strange, almost having died, feeling like you had almost having died, and these people are just happy as can be in the town of Telluride. It turns out the guy that was in the yellow rain jacket climbing the Via Ferrata didn't exist. Either he had come down already before the hail started, or somebody just made him up. So these people were looking for this guy for a long time, and no body was ever found. So I don't think he ever existed. Turns out though, 2 weeks later, after we had gone through this experience, somebody at the top, where we had dunked our heads in the water, had got out, left their girlfriend in the passenger seat, just like I had did with my wife Hope. They had a dog in the car as well. But for whatever reason, the vehicle came out of park and launched off there. Somebody has a video of just going down these switchbacks like everyday normal thing, and all of a sudden 100 miles an hour, a Jeep goes bam, just like half a second, poof, gone off the side of that mountain. Crazy. That was 1 or 2 weeks after we had been there.
We'd like to thank this month's sponsor, the VINwiki YouTube channel, Minta Watches. We know the world of great cars and great watches tends to overlap a lot, and Minta specializes in remarkable timepieces, both vintage and modern, because they know that great watches also have great stories. So if you're looking for some entertaining and educational watch content, be sure to check out Adam's YouTube channel. And if you're in the market for a watch or you just want to learn more about watches, be sure to reach them at the link in the description below. They'll take great care of you.